Hello and welcome to Curiosity Chronicles. Today we're going to talk more about Meghan Markle. My last video was just a quick little one-off while I was sitting in the car, and then it's kind of become an obsession. And I sat down and I wrote out all the things that have been just crazy with this woman. And this is just in the last little while. Because I truly think that there's something way more going on here than just someone who sucks at everything. I think there's a lot more. I do sometimes listen to the Royal Grift, and she has a lot of interesting things to say. So, yeah, here's some stuff that's been on my mind. I don't know why. I need a haircut desperately, so yeah, just don't mind me. Okay, so she launches this As Ever brand, new relaunch. Catherine must have been on the front page of a magazine that day because, you know, Meghan's never going to be outdone, right? So she launches this, and strangely enough, doesn't have a single person in her life who would do some due diligence for her. It's called a trademark lawyer. Yeah. And when she's like, yeah, I made this brand a few years ago. Finally, it's ready to be launched and everything. As ever, or as River would say, was never. A lot of people are saying as if. So yeah, it was launched, and then I think it was like the same day that a New York clothing company spoke out and said, that's our name. That's our name. And you're gonna have to stop that. And then not long after that, a company in China comes forward and says, actually, China has entered the chat. What the heck? What the heck? So China is like, no, we own that name. So this Chinese company, As Ever, they own the name. Which is, so I don't know if they've gone after the New York company as well. Probably not. Because they're probably like, whatever. You're not a big deal. You're a small little New York company, which is wonderful. I'm sure they're doing well, but they're not a massive brand that is known around the world. Anyway, if you like that company in New York, go give them some love, okay? I'm sure they're on all the socials. So the show that she just put out on Netflix is called With Love, Meghan. And apparently it's just a ripoff of a whole bunch of other people's shows like Martha Stewart and Gwyneth Paltrow, and particularly Pamela Anderson. Her show came out last year. Got some notes here. Yes, I made lots of notes. So apparently her show came out last year. And to add to the creepiness, apparently when Princess Diana signed her letters, she signed them As Ever, Diana. Yeah, more on Diana later on. But it's like, it just feels so poorly executed. And I think that Harry knew so little about the world and real life and everything else that he actually believed that Meghan is this incredible businesswoman and that they would be rich from all their business enterprises. And meanwhile, everything's been a flop for like 5 years. They left 2020. Yeah, they left in 2020 just before lockdowns and everything else. And I think there was a period of time where they may have been almost stuck in Canada because Canada had crazy level lockdowns. So I think they actually left Canada before knowing that that was coming. Anyway, so we're talking 5 years here of just flop after flop after flop. And she did a logo for her brand As Ever. And the mayor of Mallorca in Spain was like, excuse me, pardon me, that's our logo. So you're going to have to stop that. Yeah, good times. She's not happy. The mayor's not happy. And I think they were talking about suing her. There may be a GoFundMe to help with that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, good times. Everything is just a gong show with these people. Then there's the mysterious missing millions. So allegedly, for entertainment purposes only, millions of dollars tied to their Archewell Foundation have mysteriously vanished without a trace. And here's what we know. According to Mail Online, which is a publication, the charity was gifted two grants of over $6 million over the last 2 years. So I'm going to guess that's American dollars. And both are missing. So these were two grants. And when they filed their taxes for the Archewell company, those two grants weren't on there. And that would have been, they both are missing from the charity's latest 990 tax return, which I guess maybe is a foundation tax return or something like that. I don't know American tax law. I just know that the IRS wants their money. And so like these are two people, Harry and Meghan, they constantly preach about transparency and ethics. So was it mismanaged? Was it funneled into something else? Is this money laundering, allegedly, for entertainment purposes only? I don't know. We're just curious, right? They're just curious questions. Or is this just an accounting error? I don't know. Because this isn't just a simple oversight. You don't, like, forget about $6 million. I don't care how rich you are, how poor you are. You don't forget about $6 million. And there was just no accountability. No explanation, and the media is like, well, whatever. Yeah. So this missing money is just adding fuel to everything. The bullying allegations have resurfaced. Yeah. And former royal aide, Jason Knopf, I don't know how to say his last name. He went on an Australian talk show, and he went public to discuss these bullying allegations. That apparently she was bullying the staff when she was a working royal. And this has just brought all of this up again. I think it was only in February that this guy did this show. And so the fun fact about this guy, Jason Knopf, or Knopf, I don't know if the K is silent or not. He was once the communications secretary at Kensington Palace, and that would be for Prince William and Princess Catherine, though many call her Princess Kate. I hear she doesn't like that. This man is still friends with them. He's still friends, probably good friends with Prince William. A lot of times, from what I understand, the staff that are closest to them generally are people they've grown up with, people that they have long relationships with, and they've gone on to their own professions, but where that profession can sort of collide with being in a royal family, they'll hire their friends, okay? Like who, you should be able to trust these people, right? And so he initially reported these concerns in 2018. So this was while they were still in the royal family, I think. And he says still that he stands by his decision to come forward. Now, I know that the Queen had to go and have a little word with Meghan. Apparently, she went herself down to where they lived in somewhere in a royal household to basically say, you don't treat the staff like garbage. This is not America. We do things differently. And it's important for people to know that when you have staff in the royal family, they are often with a family for decades, and they really become part of the family. You've got people who are nannies for one family. So there'll be a nanny for, William and Harry. And then once they're old enough and they don't need a nanny anymore, that nanny will go to the next royal family and be the nanny for them. So you have people who've been within the family for their entire career. So you become very close. You become friends if you weren't already friends with them before you were hired. So yeah, they don't mess around. So Meghan also returned to Instagram, and it was, I believe, 4 years that she was off Instagram, and she made it sound like, oh, I wasn't allowed. And it's like, when did anybody stop you from doing whatever you wanted? Anyway, so it's just weird timing, and it just feels very inauthentic. you know, she's saying, oh, I haven't been allowed to post what I want for years. And yeah. And then I saw a report about her followers. So you can always go into somebody's, you know, see who's following them. If their account is public, you can see who's following them, blah, 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 blah. And apparently something like 3/4 of the followers on her Instagram account were fake, that she just bought them, like purchased bots. She bought the bots. Yeah. Whew. So staff resignations. Yes, I did make like 85 pages of notes here. There's reports that key staff members have resigned even recently from as ever. There's always been a lot of turmoil. I think it was just last year in the summer, they were talking about 19 staff members have quit. I don't know. And apparently I was watching a royal commentator, and they said that Meghan's staff have said publicly that she makes them look for good ideas that she can steal and use for herself. That explains a lot, doesn't it? That explains an awful lot. So yeah, her staff are quitting, and they're ending up in a mental health crisis from the way they were treated and the torment that they've been put through. For entertainment purposes only, okay? Then there's the Invictus Games. And they were in Canada this year. Yeah, but they love that. Our big globalist Marxist country. Allegedly. Just my opinion. So she had a number of interactions with participants, and she actually, without permission, without checking, without making the person aware, she moved someone in their wheelchair because that person was in her way. That's very dangerous. First of all, it's exceptionally disrespectful, but you know, she loves to manhandle people. We see it all the time. We see her doing it all the time. She does it with Harry. She shoves him around, pulls him, pushes him, everything. There's, you know, if somebody's in her way, she literally will shove them out of the way. So this is what she did with somebody who was in a wheelchair. Yeah, she got in a little trouble from that. And then she left early, and that was not a part of her schedule. So a lot of people are saying she was told to go home. Yeah. So the official statement was she missed her kids, but a lot of people are saying that she posted a video during Invictus and got a lot of backlash, and then she was told to go home, to get out of there. She was also taking a lot of the spotlight away from the real point of this event. Yeah. Like, I noticed there was a lot of talk about her and her outfits and videos and them making out in the stands and everything else, but nobody's talking about the veterans. Nobody's talking about the athletes. So yeah. And she posted a lot of Invictus moments of her on her Instagram, and suddenly all those posts were taken down. Maybe Netflix was like, no. The clothing that she wore at Invictus got a lot of negative attention, and that they were saying that her outfits were tasteless. And I kind of have to agree, because other people, royalty from around the world were there. People, you know, delegates and dignitaries from around the world were there, and they were wearing like the Invictus jackets and stuff like that, but she wouldn't. She just wouldn't. That wasn't good enough for her. She's not one of the peasants, I guess. And it really took away from what we were supposed to be focusing on, which is the athletes. And yeah, I don't think she was once photographed wearing an Invictus jacket or sweatshirt or hat or anything. So it really came off as a PR stunt rather than actual genuine support for veterans, which is kind of gross, considering, you know, her husband is a veteran. You know, I guess anybody who serves in the military is a veteran, but I don't think he actually did anything of any great substance while he was there. I could be wrong. I don't know. Then there was the Northwestern sweatshirt stunt, and she was spotted, and it was so strategic, but she's wearing that purple Northwestern University sweatshirt. And this is like super creepy. it has been suggested that every time she does something like this, she's trying to get the attention of whatever is being brought up. So in this case, Northwestern, to try to get a media sponsorship gig or something like that. Everything's got to be monetized with her. But it's super, super creepy because Diana, who is her mother-in-law, her husband's dead mother, was photographed wearing that same sweatshirt decades ago, like in the 90s, okay? So would many of us worn that sweatshirt because we love Diana? Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely, absolutely. But for Meghan to do it, this is his mother we're talking about here, his dead mother. She's married to his son. It was obvious cosplay, absolutely. And there is a lot of talk that she's doing this to kind of mess with Harry's mental health and his mind, because like it kind of does look like she's really trying to be Diana, right? This could just be another attempt to keep Harry emotionally under control. You know, like the perfume. Apparently she was wearing Diana's perfume when she met him. She bought that perfume and started wearing it. Okay, I was a huge fan of Princess Diana in the 80s and 90s. And I don't know what perfume she wore. I have no idea. That's some deep level research. Interesting, though, that Meghan would say, oh, she knew nothing about the royal family. She didn't even know that Harry was a prince. Okay. All right. And then there's Catherine, Princess Catherine. So we keep hearing about this rivalry between the two of them. You know, if Catherine posts her children's artwork on their Instagram page, so, you know, Meghan's got to do the same thing and try to outdo everybody. And it does kind of look like there's an Instagram war between the two of them. I think Catherine's just like, whatever, I'm just doing my thing. But apparently Meghan is just livid about the amount of attention that Catherine gets internationally, worldwide. But of course, she's the Princess of Wales. She's the future queen. Like, of course she should get more attention. You know, the other princesses in the family aren't crying about it. And Meghan isn't even a princess. Technically, she got a title, but it's not like she was born into it. You know, yeah, it's weird. And I guess Catherine technically isn't either, but you know what? She's the one who was chosen to be the next queen after Camilla. Long may they reign. And all that jazz. So, the Northwestern sweatshirt was also seen as a way of drawing attention away from Catherine. And I just think Catherine's just not even paying attention. And if she is, she's winning. She's winning because while all of this as ever nonsense was going on in the show and blah, 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 Catherine published for free for anybody her jam recipe. Yeah, that's how it's done. That's how you fix a wagon. I tell you what. So you can get a Princess Catherine's jam recipe, make it yourself. You don't need to spend the $4 million on a pot of Meghan Markle jam. I don't know. That she doesn't even grow because guess what? Berries don't grow in an orchard. Yeah, there was another flop. There was another epic failure. The American Riviera Orchard not once thought, maybe I should look into see, like, can I actually name my company this? Like, yeah. Whew. Yeah. And then, of course, we've seen the Prince and Princess of Wales all the time at all kinds of things, baking and drinking Guinness and, you know, all the things. They're doing great. They're doing great. Now, don't for a second think that I think everybody here is it's all just like Meghan is the problem and everybody else is not a problem. You know, these people are like, they're connected to Davos. So, yeah, we don't want to, there's not 100% innocence there going on. But still, it's looking so much better. And I'm going to bet there's a lot of tantrums in Montecito these days. And then there's the parenting choices. Yeah. She very obviously uses her children, or do these children exist? Who knows? But she uses the children to gain sympathy and get attention from controversy. So when something goes wrong, we get to see the back of Archie's head. This child hasn't changed in 5 years, so who knows who that is. And then there's the whole thing, like, why are they keeping them hidden? I don't get this. Like, and then there was the photoshopped photo. I don't know. The whole thing is just such a mess. They're in the line of succession. They are meant to be royal children. They can't keep them hidden forever. And so the question is, what I'm curious about is, what's going to happen when those children get to the point where they can make their own autonomous decisions and they figure out who they are? They figure out who their relatives are. They figure out who their parents are. What's going to happen then? Like, apparently, you know, just like Meghan said, oh, I didn't know anything about the royal family. I didn't even know Harry was a prince. Yeah, like, she thinks that she can just keep that information from her children, because I think they've said that, right? That they don't know. The children have no idea that their grandfather is the king. They have no idea. How would they know? Have they even met him as like conscious human beings, not just little baby blobs? Yeah. So there's so many different things being talked about here. There's the idea that the children don't exist and it's all fake and they're just renting children every time they need to kind of say, oh, look at our children. That these children were born by surrogate, so they are not technically allowed to be in the line of succession. That these children aren't theirs. Like, there's so many things. Somebody keeps telling me that Archie is in the UK living with his mother, and that Harry goes and visits him. I don't know. I think at this point, nothing would shock me and anything is possible. So yeah, who knows? Then there's the divorce playbook. Apparently Meghan's writing a book. The rumors are swirling, allegedly, that she's been secretly working on a tell-all memoir that's going to tell everybody her side of the drama and probably throw Harry under the bus if he divorces her. And like, she's already trying to lay out her Hollywood comeback. And yes, you can laugh now. I had a good laugh over that one too. Because she's reportedly blacklisted by Hollywood. She's tried to reignite her acting career, I guess, and she's been blacklisted by studios and producers, from what I have been hearing, word on the street, for being too difficult to work with. Oh, interesting. Have we heard that before? And so even the Suits co-stars are keeping their distance from her. And so, yeah, people like George Clooney, Beyonce, Serena Williams, they've all publicly stopped supporting her. And at least one of the awards events this year, like, they got Golden Globe and the Oscars and everything, apparently they showed up and got turned away because they weren't invited. They weren't expected. They just showed up and thought they could walk the red carpet and go inside and schmooze and rub elbows and things like that. But apparently they got turned away. Haven't seen any footage of it though. So if anybody has that, let's get it online and see what really happened. And of course, where's Oprah? That relationship seems to have cooled off. Isn't that curious? After all of that, I wonder how much Oprah got paid to do that interview. Because I think she got paid a lot of money to interview Kamala, which is her right. Probably I'd have to get paid a lot to do that too. But this is a big fall from grace. That when Oprah writes you off, she has destroyed a few careers. So yeah. And then there was the tragedy tourism at the LA fires. So they showed up smiling, posing for photos. They brought a team with them. They brought photographer and videographer with them. They were apparently trespassing because they were going onto people's properties where their houses had burned down. Like vultures. Honestly. There's a photo of Meghan hugging a woman, and everybody thought this was a woman who'd lost her home. No, that was Meghan's assistant. That came out. That was her assistant, or one of her assistants. So apparently, the people who were there said Meghan and Harry stayed long enough with their crew and team to get the photo ops and the videos and everything to make it look like, maybe she wrote on a banana and gave it to somebody. I don't know. But they certainly didn't volunteer any of their time or energy to help. It was just a photo op. These are people who think that their presence alone is enough. See, Harry, growing up a royal and living that royal life and being a working royal, that's the only thing he knows. So when, one of the royal family goes to an event, their job there is to attract attention to the event. So when, I don't know, we'll give an example. The women's prison thing that Catherine just did. She went and visited women in a prison. That wasn't so Catherine can look like a humanitarian. That was because Catherine was there to bring attention to the situation and the experience that women have in prison. Apparently, Meghan didn't get that memo. So she thinks it's just to show up and get photos taken. And it's like, sure, maybe at the fundraising gala in a year, but not when like there's houses still burning and the smoke is in the air and people are just trying to get a sandwich and a bottle of water. Like, that's not the time and place for it. Anyway, I bet she thought, well, we'll raise awareness. Oh, the whole world knew. There was no need to raise awareness from them. There were people, there was somebody on a call that I was on a group call, and she said she's in LA, and I was like, oh my God, everyone on the call was like, are you okay? What's going on? And she's like, yeah, I live about 30 minutes from there. I'm totally fine. Thank you for asking. But yes, it's tragic and horrific what has happened. So it's not like the world didn't know. And it's not like Meghan Markle was going to suddenly change the world. God. So it wasn't about raising awareness. It was just their desperate attempt to paint themselves as humanitarians. Because if they actually cared, they would have rolled up their sleeves and they would have left the film crew at home. They didn't need it to be filmed, but of course, everything needs to be monetized with them. Whew. And they just used this tragedy for like a made for Instagram moment, really. And there were other people in Hollywood, like actors and stuff, who were like, this is gross. This is gross. And so I think the world is catching up and starting to see through this performance. And her loathing of Harry. Here's my notes. The loathing of Harry. It is obvious she cannot stand this man. And I watched a couple body language experts, and they were like, oh yeah, ooh, she does not like this man one bit. She treats him as an accessory. So she thinks she's queen of the world, and he's like her attendant or something. He's her lady in waiting. And, I think I've seen some things where she just treats him like her assistant, and that's her husband. Like, it's not like they're just like coworkers. Like he's her husband, and he deserves, I don't care whether you like him or hate him, he deserves to be treated with a bit more respect as her husband. Let's just start there. And he's a royal. So there is a protocol that kind of should be adhered to if they want to continue using these royal titles. She should probably, you don't see Catherine behaving the way that Meghan does. When Catherine and William are together, they are a team. And you can tell they really like each other. You can tell, you can tell they're enjoying their time together. They're having a good time because their smiles and their laughter and their little nudges and their silly little inside jokes that couples have. You can tell they are authentic. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes. So it may be all fake, but they're doing a really good job of it. Meghan can't even fake it because it takes so much energy for her to fake it. And I was raised by a narcissist, so I can spot this a mile away when the mask falls. So she's like, oh my God, I love you so much. Right? Like, that's what happens. And you can't maintain that all the time. The problem is that her relaxed, natural face of not smiling, for many people would say our resting bitch face, but her just natural resting face is very different than the nasty way she looks at Harry. And, she cuts him off, she interrupts him, she shoves him out of the way, she's pushing and pulling. If he's talking to somebody and not paying attention to her, she will come over and take his hand and like pull him away. They're not there to see her. They're there to see him. And she needs to get that through her head. Well, she never will. She never will. So I don't know. What do you think? Is this all random and accidental? I'm really curious to hear what you have to say. Is there more to this story? Is this just a ruse to make her look incompetent while trying to take down democracy? Because there's talk of that too. Why were they sent to America? Why were they sent to America, and why do they hate the First Amendment or the Second Amendment? I don't know. The amendment about free speech. Why are they trying to fight that so much? They're not even, well, she's American, but he's not. So he should just mind his own business. Anyway, the visa information's coming out, so I'm sure we'll have more to say about that too. So let me know what you think. Don't forget to subscribe. Leave me a comment with your thoughts on all of this. Like, this is just bonkers to me. So I feel like there's something else going on. Nobody is this incompetent. Nobody messes up this much. Nobody is this big of a screw up. There has to be something more. It is covering up something more. Because, you know, and I've followed politics long enough that anytime we see something that's like front page news, I'm like, what's going on behind this that they don't want us to pay attention to? That's how I feel about this. There's all of this public stuff. What is she doing behind the scenes that she doesn't want anyone to know? And there was all that talk about free speech. They want everything censored. There's also, back in the election last year, the American election, they were trying to get Kamala elected. Maybe not directly, but you could tell where they were going with that. And Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister of the UK, sent people from the UK to help Kamala get elected. That's foreign interference. That's election interference. Foreign election interference. There, let's string 3 words together here. Yeah, there's more to this story. What do you think? Let me know and stay curious.